What's up, guys? Today, Resident Evil 7 Biohazard.
Hey baby! I just wanted to send a quick hello and I love you. Oh, good news! I'm gonna be coming home soon. Yay! Oh, I cannot wait to be done with this babysitting job and come home to my loving husband. I miss you. Oh, I gotta get back to work. I love you, Ethan. I miss you so much. I'm sending tons of kisses. Bye, baby.
Ethan. You were right. I did lie to you. I shouldn't have. All I can say is that if you get this, stay away.
Hello?
Hey, it's Ethan.
Okay, so the game kind of starts with Ethan Winters, who's the guy that you play, is in search of his wife. She's been missing 3 years, and immediately there's a gaping hole in the credibility of the story when he receives an email of some video footage saying, "Oh, it's Mia. Don't come looking for me." Well, if that's the case, why did you fucking email him in the first place? So there's a kind of a bit there. You're kind of like, well, okay, don't come looking for me, but here I am. You know, if she'd have left well alone, then there'd have been no game, obviously. But it kind of left a bit of a gap in that. But yeah, when you first start playing the game, there's a bit of dialogue where you go through and kind of unarmed scour the house and bits and pieces. And Mia especially, fucking, it kind of makes you jump as well. Like, she just, the way she turns and up front close, her face, just did a really good job with the special effects. Kind of like a grudgy kind of look. Really did quite well with that.
Don't you die on us now. You have work to do.
I really like the way that the characters differ. So, for example, you've got Jack Baker, the dad of the family. He's got this very unstoppable kind of energy about him. He's an absolute nightmare to kill. He's very hard to kind of take down. You've got Marguerite, the mother, who's kind of batshit crazy in one sense, kind of eerie, screechy, horrible. Got this weird control of insects, centipedes, spiders, flies, all this sort of stuff, kind of weird. And then you got the hillbilly son Lucas, who you kind of experience, you know, later in the game, and he's kind of weird, all these Saw-like puzzles that you have to kind of do for him. So I won't get into too much more of that, but really kind of like the way they differ the characters, and it kind of breaks the game up because they're in different parts of the house and outgrounds and stuff. So kind of it's a nice way of breaking up the game into certain segments.
Welcome to the family, son.
So what did I like about the game? I like the fact that you couldn't just run away from enemies all the time because you're kind of, it feels like you're lethargic. You kind of move gingerly, quite slowly, so you can't just sprint away from enemies. You have to be quite tactful in how you get away from them. I also like the fact that they've created very good sound effects and bits of a very good atmosphere, very eerie in the way that you have to use in certain parts of the house and the game where it's quite dark, like you get the pen torch out, so it creates a narrow field of view, so you always got to make sure you're scanning the room so that you haven't either missed anything or there's nothing lurking. And the reason why I say that is because they've been very good at the way they've created the sound effects. You hear like floorboards creaking, you hear the doors close and stuff like that, so you're kind of like scanning around to make sure nothing's coming behind you, because there are some pretty jumpy scenes in this game. I'm not going to spoil it and tell you why, where and when, but when you least expect it, you can get stuff coming out of you from all angles as well. I also like the fact that it's in first person. Now the reason, I know the older ones were in third person, but first person with me, I liked it a lot more, because it kind of submerges you into the game a lot more. You can't kind of see when things are coming from behind you, you've got to scope around a lot more, so I think that kind of adds to the eeriness and the background setting of the game, so you're always kind of on your toes scoping around as well. So that also added a lot to the game. There was another part as well, the VHS tapes that you find scattered throughout the house and certain parts of missions and bits and pieces. They add nice gameplay segments to the game itself, like side missions. I think some of them are optional as well, but they kind of give you an insight into the game further down the line. I won't spoil it, but they're pretty cool to play as well. They kind of help you out as well down the line, and it gives you a bit of a backstory into certain characters and what's happened before you get there. So it kind of just fills in the gaps, as you were. I also like the fact that it's gone back to its roots a lot. From the first Resident Evil, when you turn up at the Spencer mansion, you turn up at the Baker residence, which is kind of like a mansion. It's a really big house in the middle of nowhere, so kind of similar in that sense. I also liked the shotgun on the wall, the statue and the shotgun on the wall similarities between the first and the second one. Kind of just gives you a little nudge to let you know you're still going to have similarities from that game as well, like the mixing of the herbs and the chem fluid to make your first aid kits and gunpowder to make your mags. I mean, certain parts of the game I always found myself torn between, do I have a medikit by mixing the herb and a chem fluid, or do I have some ammunition by mixing gunpowder and a chem fluid to make the ammunition? And there are only 10 mags in, they take up in each inventory space, so you are very limited. I also like the fact that ammunition is, depending on the level you play, quite scarce to come across. You can't just load up and just shoot the shit out of everything. You have to be quite conservative with your ammunition. You don't get bucket loads of it. You can spunk it, but you'll find that when you come to a boss battle later on down the line, when you do need that ammunition, you ain't going to have enough of it because you've wasted it. So you have to be quite choosy where you shoot the enemies. I find with the moulded headshots kind of work, but they also do this as well, so it kind of throws that extra element into there as well. So on the whole, really did like those points, and yeah, they really did add to the actual game itself, and I was very happy with them. Okay, so the first thing I noticed when playing this game is when you turn up at the Baker residence, I found myself scouring everywhere for a weapon. It kind of plagued me that I started the game with no ammunition, no weapons, no knives, no guns, and I was just panicking I was going to come across someone who didn't have anything to fight them off with. So another thing that they revamped was the health bar indicator. On the old game, you kind of go into start and you see the doo-doo-doo-doo-doo. They've kind of put onto a wristwatch, which doesn't really do anything other than display your health. When you kind of go into the inventory, his wrist goes up and you can kind of see how badly Ethan's taken a beating. If it's red, obviously it's low health. If it's orange and green, it's so on and so forth. Another indicator is obviously the blood around the screen. If you're taking a bit of a hammering, you're going to see blood around the screen. But then again, if you're playing it in easy mode, the health kind of regenerates. I think a third or up to 50% of the health kind of regenerates quite quickly throughout the game. So yeah, there's not that much to worry about, but I thought that was kind of cool the way they kind of increased the technology in that sense, where they've kind of gone from the old school and just kind of reused the same effects, but just kind of put it into a newer technological aspect of it, as it were. What's not to like? There's a few nitpicks that I kind of found throughout the game that kind of took away from its overall value, and I'm going to say a few of these reasons. One, there's not that really many different variations of enemies to kill. You can only get the moulded, there's 3 variations of them, and other than the boss battles, there's no variation in the enemies that you're going to encounter. It would have been nice to have some sort of variation, maybe some dogs or snakes or something different that kind of gives you a bit more to deal with, because the moulded, they're quite cumbersome and slow. I mean, I played it on easy, so they were quite easy to kill. I mean, even when you knock up the settings, they go, all that happens is they move a bit quicker and they deal out a bit more damage. So there's not a huge variation. Then they get incredibly smart if you whack the difficulty up. So yeah, it would have been nice to see some variations in enemies that you're going to face throughout. I mean, they kind of just spawn out of nowhere, which is cool. They come out through the tar. It's kind of scattered throughout the house, like black tarry mess on the walls and stuff. They kind of spawn out of that. So you kind of get a sort of an idea when they're going to come out. But having said that, yeah, they are quite easy to dispatch. Shots to the head are more than enough normally to kill them off. And also they don't do very well against doors. So if you kind of run away from them, shut the door, and that's it. They're not going to come after you. Having said that, they are, like I say, quite slow, so you can even run around them sometimes without even getting touched. So all in all, I would like to have seen some other variations of enemy. That would have been quite cool. Some other bosses and stuff are quite easy to kill. In fact, as you play the game, they kind of get easier as you go through the game, which kind of threw me. I was expecting the final boss battle as well. Piece of piss. It was really simple to fight the final boss, and I was kind of left thinking, is that it? There's got to be something else to this, and then bang, cutscene. So I was kind of like a bit disappointed that there wasn't a bit more variation, obviously in the enemies, and the bosses kind of got easier as they went along. Having said that, I mean, the way the characters play out their stories and the way you tackle them in certain environments, I did like that. But like I said, the boss fights, far too easy. There was also a multiple choice section in the middle of the game. It changes absolutely fuck all. It does nothing to change the gameplay. It just changes the final cutscene at the end of the game. It's the only difference I saw between the choice that you make. So kind of limits the replayability of the game. I mean, other than playing it in different difficulty modes from easy, normal and hard. I mean, the main difference is, like I said, the moulded are harder to kill, they move a bit quicker and they deal more damage. If you play on the hardest mode, you can't do unlimited saves, you have to get the cassette tapes, which are one use only, and so you're kind of scouring around to even save the game. So it kind of adds a little bit to it, but for me, it kind of takes out the replayability of the game as well. Obviously, when you complete the game, you get a weapon that you can use from the start if you play it again, which I'm not going to spoil what it is. It's nothing spectacular, but it is something you can use as you play. I mean, it was just kind of lacking in certain parts of the game. I mean, there's a part on a boat which you kind of learn a bit more about the daughter character in the family, which kind of gives you the backstory and everything you need to know, but it was really drawn out. It didn't need to be as long as it was. It kind of dragged on, and it got kind of repetitive the way you had to keep redoing things. It kind of took away from the charm of when you're in the house in a claustrophobic environment and it kind of like all comes at once at you. It's great. It really slowed down when you got to this stage of the game, and I think it just kind of took away from what you've been experiencing beforehand. It was a bit boring. It could have condensed it down a lot further.
Come on. Don't you die on us now. You have work to do.
Where am I? What the hell?
Rise and shine, sleepyhead. It's time for supper.
Who are all you people? Where's Mia?
Eat it. It's good.
Dumb son bitch wasn't no good if it hit him.
Yes.
Not again.
Get out the way, Marguerite.
His boy's got to eat. He got to have his supper. Come here, boy. Let's do this.
So, in conclusion, what did I think? Really liked the game. I mean, for the points I went through earlier, the fact it kind of went back to its roots to a degree, it revamped a few things, refreshed it, give it a nice new look. The first person mode was a big fan of that. A few down keys. The game is quite short. I completed it on easy mode in about just under 8 hours, 7 hours, 57 minutes, I believe. Different parts happen. I mean, one of my friends played it and he said he lost a leg. I mean, I didn't lose a leg, I lost a hand. So there is variable injuries he kind of sustained throughout the game, but other than that, I don't think there's too much different as you play. I'd have to play it a few more times. But like I said, once you've completed it, and there's not, you know, a huge replayability other than collecting the antique coins, which you can use to buy certain things, you know, steroids to increase the health, or certain guns and stuff. You can use them to open the Ferris, antique coins, and it like spins down to 0, then it unlocks the cages they're in. So cool little elements there. I did really like the game. I think the characters worked very well. Like I said, the game was very good up to a certain section on the boat where it kind of dragged, and then it kind of picked up again quite quickly. So there was that little section where it was kind of like, oh, really, doing this again, drag. But all in all, really like the game. Gets 4.5 out of 5 for me, so definitely worth a play. You can pick up quite cheap. I think I got it for around about 20-25 quid. You can get it on CD Keys, Kinguin, places like that, or you can buy it, I think, directly on Steam as well. So it's not a huge amount to play. There is some free DLC coming as well, but personally, it didn't really appeal to me just by looking at what it was offering. I wasn't like, ooh, so I probably won't bother with that. But the ending, without spoiling it, kind of left open for some DLC. Probably going to be paid DLC if it's going to follow on from that, but the conclusion I got, there would be some DLC that you can add to it to play it furthermore. But yeah, all in all, thought the game was really good, definitely worth a play. 4.5 out of 5. What are you waiting for, guys? Go and play it.